Welcome to another episode of Motivated Masculine Men, our whole purpose here is to help men inspire, educate, and challenge themselves to embrace healthy masculinity, deepen their relationships, optimize their health, and step boldly into purpose. Today's going to be something a little bit different. We have had a female on before in the early days of Motivated Masculine Men, but today Anna is going to be with us. She's going to give us her perspective, which is great. No, we've met way years ago, back when I used to do police, helping people join the law enforcement here in New Zealand. But yeah, we've stayed friends on Facebook, and she reached out to me when I put a post and said, "Hey, I want to get some women on here and get a different perspective." So I did write a couple notes. I know I told you that there weren't any questions; it's just conversation. But I just wanted to kind of preface this episode for yourself and also for those listening, for the women that are listening, for the guys that are listening. Really, the reason I did the post and asked for some women to come on, which friend, you're actually the only one that's reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'll be on." So good on you for breaking the ice. Let's get some more. Let's get some more women on here. Because again, you can't. I always like to be challenged, and I always say this to friends, and I say this to people that I talk to. If you're not being challenged, and you're not your beliefs or your thoughts aren't being challenged, or you're not seeing the other side of the coin, you're doing something wrong because otherwise you're just very stuck in your ways. So really, what I want to do is I want to better understand. I want to better understand women. I am married, have been for a long time, but I want to understand more women out there. Get that to the audience, not just those social media bites. You see the little tiny short snippets, but more real conversations like this. And, which men often, we always get things wrong. And I know I've also got more to learn here as well. So that's the whole key of tonight. So, friend, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and really what your thoughts on, we'll just dive straight in it, what your thoughts are on masculinity in today's world.
Okay. All right. My name is Fran. I go by Fran. I'm 41 years old. I'm currently working a few jobs. I'm a mother of three, two teens, one 10-year-old. I'm a wife. I'm a dog mama of two little dogs. I'm a cook. I'm a cleaner. And my occupation is I work as a receptionist for a big corporate company called Intech Services here in New Plymouth. 30 hours, and I'm currently studying becoming a weight management coach.
That's real good. So, Fran, I know you're doing a lot of cool things, your wife and that. I feel like back when we first met, you weren't married, were you? Or were you? No,
No, I was divorced. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I hope we can talk about the kind of the difference between the past husband and the current. I'm sure we'll get into a little bit of that. But before we start, what would your definition of like healthy masculinity be in a guy? When you're looking at guys out there, or when you were looking, between after you got divorced and you're single and you're looking for guys out there, what was it from that masculinity point of view? Was it that you kind of were like, "Ooh, I like that, I don't," and then, what was it that you didn't like?
Yes. So to me, masculinity has completely changed. When I met my first husband, I was probably more visual driven. So to me, a good-looking male, muscly, acting like they know everything, very self-confident and all of that. So therefore, I was very driven by visual how someone looked. That taught me a lesson, because in the end of the day, a character is more than a visual look. Yeah. So so my first husband was probably more a choice of looks and financial security. I'm going to be super honest here. And my second husband, when I was single and I was on the lookout for another partner, because I wasn't ready to be by myself for the rest of my life at the age of 35. I really wanted to focus and concentrate what I needed. What do I need? I need a man who can provide security, which is not necessarily defined by money. Security to me is someone who can offer a listening ear. When I am talking to my husband now, we've been there before, then he would try to fix it. I would tell him how my day went, and I would just share my hard, challenging day. And he would say, oh, well, just find something else. That wasn't the case. That's not what I wanted to hear. I wanted him to listen and be attentive. Don't fix it. Just be there and listen. So he's already knew that from right at the beginning, because he's a very analytical person who loves learning about behavior and a lot of things, actually, to be honest. Yeah. So he provides me with a hug when he feels like I am a bit down myself. He just gives me a hug. You don't have to talk if I don't want to talk. And this hug can take a fair amount of time. It's not just a superficial hug. The hug in itself means to me, okay, I can let go now, and I don't have to be strong or pretend to be strong. I can be my feminine side. The other thing he provides, which I hadn't had in the past, is empowerment. He believes in me. He brings out the best out of me. It's hard to explain. He will empower me in anything and everything I'd like to learn more about. Whereas in the past, I found I had to search for a great career job to earn a lot of money. It was his main focus. My current partner or husband and lover and friend, he is very focused on that I'm happy. He doesn't really care whether I earn big bucks or not. It's about me, who I am. Yeah. So he empowers me, and he knows what I like to figure out myself. And he will sit there sometimes. As I mentioned before, I'm currently studying a diploma in weight management coaching, and he will sit there and watches YouTube videos on nutrition with me, and we both learn. Yeah. It might not be always his priority listening to nutrition, but I do the same thing for him. He is incredibly interested in space and physics. It's not my thing, quite frankly. I can't deal with it. And I might go to sleep watching something. That's fair enough. Why? Yeah, it's reciprocated, isn't it? It's a two-way street. It sounds like, which is great. Which, if I'm not misunderstood here, your old husband, your ex-husband, it wasn't so much. It was more of money driven, significant driven. Yeah, mainly money driven, and yeah, I would come home and he wouldn't say hello to me. He would say hello to the children. They were only young back then. He would say, how much money did you spend today? Where's your receipt? Go through the receipt and highlight the non-essential items, like strawberries in summertime. Who doesn't like strawberries in summertime? Oh no, you got to make sure you put chocolate on top of them, though. I know that. Dark chocolate, the best. Yes, definitely the best. Was that looking back on it now? Did you have a lot of that from the very beginning, or was that something that kind of evolved over the time of your relationship with your original husband? So I may want to add that my first husband and I got married 6 months into our relationship. Therefore, we didn't really know each other properly. Yeah, so I do not recommend that at all. Get to know each other before you go the big step. Yeah. I second that one. I remember when I was really young, my mom, she told me, she's like, live with somebody for 2 years before you marry them. Yeah, that's why. You'll know somebody within a year, really. You'll know somebody, and the things that are that you like, that you don't like, you'll know the ins and outs. You can't hide when you're living with somebody. But when you're just dating, it's kind of a little bit difficult it takes a little bit longer to kind of get to know somebody. I'm not saying go move in instantly with somebody, even though my wife and I moved in together 6 weeks after we met. But hey, we're an anomaly, but hey, we work, and it sounds like your current husband, it's the same way. Before we jump into, I do want to ask more around like kind of the meeting stage and the finding him stages, but I do want to kind of just build a little bit more of a picture here, Fran. When you think of a strong man, like when you were single,
maybe before your first husband or in between your first and your second husband? When you think of a strong man, what comes to mind?
So that's a very good question. So beyond visual, I think a level-headed person is.
What do you mean by level-headed?
So I'm trying to analyze myself here. So I'm just thinking as we speak. When I'm in a pub and someone comes to talk to me, it depends how they approach me. It's usually the first few seconds you make up your mind whether you want to have a conversation or not. But I guess if you are in a pub and someone wants just a little drink with you and some fun times, then you kind of get the gist of it. And most women are not into that. But if there's someone who really is interested in you and possibly, which is also kind of hard in a pub, right? In a pub situation. But maybe we take an example as in meeting in a cafe after you've met over Tinder or Badoo or Bumble or any dating app. You get the gist. And you meet in a cafe and you have your first proper conversation, face-to-face conversation. Yeah, a level-headed conversation is probably the key. And what I mean by that, maybe tell them that all your knowledge, what you know. Yeah, knowledge is sexy. I tell you that. Knowledge is sexy. What do you do for your personal life? Do you like learning about yourself or the world? Or are you just I don't want to say that, sounding too judgmental, because my boys are all my boys love gaming. But if that is all you do, and go to work, come home and possibly game, it's probably not as attractive to a woman. But if you go out as a man, you go to work and you possibly cook your own tea and learn how to cook, that's amazing. Someone who can cook. Someone who knows how to run a household. Wow, amazing. You don't need your mom. Someone who was wanting to learn more about themselves and better themselves. You got me 100%. 100% over any muscles.
Yeah. So, friend, what I'm hearing is in these, in that initial conversation, as you said, women can kind of they figure it out and they see it within a few moments. You can kind of tell it's really interesting, isn't it?
As far as I know, we make up our mind due to smell, how that person smells. That's what they say, apparently, because there's those. Put me right if I'm wrong. I think there's pheromones play a big role in reproduction. A woman, us humans, we look for partner to reproduce, and we can judge that by the smell. Whether we want to talk to them further, maybe. Yeah. Other than that, I would say if you are in a pub as a male and you'd like to talk to someone, it's probably your confidence, how you show up.
Can you explain that a little bit more? What you kind of have seen and what you've experienced or seen, or when it comes to that confidence side in the pub?
Yeah. Believe in yourself. If you go and say, "Yeah, me out of my league, but hey, you've got really, really beautiful eyes, and look at your boobies. Where are my eyes?" Nice try, mate. See you later. Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think believing in yourself is probably a big one. Your confidence.
It shows through. There's too much confidence as well. There's that arrogance, that ego side.
Yeah, 100%. You go, hey,
yeah.
Look at me. Not bad.
Yeah. It's that fine line, isn't it, between confidence and ego and kind of showboating, like I'm the man, I know everything, to I'm confident in who I am, I know who I am, but at the same time, I want to get to know you, I want to meet you, I want to say hi to you. Yeah, it is that fine line. Do you have a time where you've had, have you been in a pub before when you've had somebody approach you that's done it the right way, and then do you have a time when somebody's done it the wrong way? I was asking, have you had a time where you've had a good experience with somebody? Obviously you've had one good experience. You're married again, which I want to hear about here shortly. But before you got married, when you were single and you were looking for a partner, to learn more about a mate, Did you have any other good experiences prior to your current husband?
Yes, I did indeed. Was in another relationship before I met my husband. We were together for about 6 or 8 months, and we met on a dating platform. That was Facebook, or dating page on Facebook, area we live, and we met up, and it was great. It was really down to earth, you know. He was being himself, and I was being myself, and I wanted to get to know him more.
What did he do right in those first couple interactions?
He didn't pretend to be anyone. He was just being himself. I don't know. I can't remember exactly.
It
But
just felt right. It just felt right, didn't it?
yeah, probably. Yeah, probably just felt. Yeah. And yeah, we had a relationship for 6 or 8 months, something like that. Unfortunately, that went really bad. We had to get a protection order on him and all of that. We're good now. We can talk now.
Yeah.
We talked it out after a few years. Yeah, there was just this mentality difference, I guess. He is New Zealand Maori and I am German descent. Therefore, our mentality didn't quite vibe. I'm not saying that it never wouldn't ever work for anyone. It just didn't work for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you know, you know. Sorry you had to go through the protection order side of things. I'm glad things are, better now.
Yeah.
Obviously, my law enforcement background, I know how dark things can get, sadly. That kind of leads me into something I'd love to know a little bit more about from your perspective is how do you believe a man can show strength to you, show that he has strength, whether it be intellectual strength, physical strength, to be strength in a way that, can protect and provide, and for you,
Knowledge.
that doesn't come through as aggression?
Yeah, it's knowledge. Staying calm. So I'm thinking now about my husband. He had a few discussions and conversations in the past where it got a bit heated. He would take a deep breath and he would say, "It's fine. I'm not going to argue," because the other person would not budge, and therefore he would just leave it. And he would listen to that person without trying to wrong them and put them wrong, you know. And I think that's a huge amount of strength. It's easy to yell at each other and lose your shit, but listen to someone and they're wrong, that definitely shows strength.
So what I'm hearing is that being a calm in a storm, like being that grounded, that anchor place, that place that shows you that when shit's going wrong and things are going chaotic, you can still be that strong protector, that strong place that you can rely on.
Yes, absolutely. He
Hmm.
might say later, "Oh my gosh, it was super hard to me," and that's fine. And "Oh my gosh, what an idiot," and that's fine. But in that moment, staying calm, being present.
Being present, yeah. It's such an important one. As men, we are designed genetically to be stronger, have the focus, have the strength to be able to protect. But it's such a fine line between between strength and aggression. And I remember as a cop, I used to get told, we want controlled aggression, controlled aggression. I'm like, what's the difference? Like, it was always such a challenge to find that fine line of going too far but then also being aggressive enough that it actually commands presence, it commands the situation and holds ground, but isn't an aggressive thing where you're over the top or you're overbearing on things. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's interesting to hear from your perspective of the fact of, it's something that is so important for yourself as a woman to be able to rely on and feel that from him.
Yeah.
Your current, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, even I think that's something we all have to learn. I'm saying now consciously have to learn. We don't have to put everyone we know in our lives right, what we think is right. Let's put it that way. Let's say I know a subject 100%. My subject is nutrition. Does that mean that I need to go out there and tell every single person in the world what to do? I'd like to. I won't.
No, there's ways that you can help educate people. But again,
Yeah.
this is like, us having this conversation right now. Yes, I know a lot of different things around men. I know, around good relationships. I have an idea of how to help men create a good relationship and know themselves. Because I have one. I've been married for what have I been married now? 13 years. Yeah, coming up to
Oh,
13 years. Been together with my wife for almost 18.
that's awesome.
I mean, we've had ups and downs and all arounds and through the years. I've been with her since I was 20. She was 23. So a long time. So I have a lot of knowledge there, but I'm not going to go tell people how to do it. It's a how do we educate? How do we help guide people to that point of view?
It's
Because or
beautiful.
to that because that's the most important thing. Yes, there are times where it's like, okay, you need to just be like no, just stop doing that and just tweak it a little bit this way. Yeah, just rattle them a little bit, but again, there's that strength versus aggression.
Yeah,
What do you
beautiful.
think? What do you think the biggest turnoff for women is? When it comes to men,
Yeah.
when it comes to
Okay.
men trying to be masculine.
Yeah, definitely show off. Show off is not masculine. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry to be blunt, but it's what I think.
What do you
Yeah.
what's a show off? What's a show off to you, Fran?
Yeah, a show off to me is, whoa, I met all the sales targets today. Everyone else lost or didn't meet their target. I did. I am the best. And I'm always going to be the best. I always knew it. I always going to know it. Just an example.
Yeah, no.
Just being overconfident, of
So
lifting.
is it the saying their achievements, or is it the saying their achievements are better than somebody else?
It's probably, yeah, you got that right. It's probably the saying of I am better than anyone else or someone else. That's the detail there. Yeah, it's great when you're meeting sales targets, and I'm going to be happy for you. But saying the other ones they haven't met, and therefore I'm the better person.
It's that ego. It's that ego side of things,
It's
isn't it?
ego. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. No, I mean, ego is not beautiful, but we all have it.
Well, and in confidence, but for confidence, you have to have some level of ego
Yeah.
that gets you started. It's the how you actually deliver the whole process is the key thing. It's the how do we stay calm in the storm? How do we keep moving forward and be confident but not be aggressive, not be overbearing on things? How do we show that we can provide, that we can protect, that we can preside over, situations, but with the
Hmm.
best interest, with everybody's best interest at heart. Yeah, it's an interesting fine line, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. There's something that comes to mind, and I am going to work on it very hard. So my 15-year-old, nearly 16-year-old son, he decided that he is better than a homeless person as in a better human. And it completely goes against my beliefs. I used to work for the Taranaki retreat here, Suicide Prevention Centre. Amazing work they do. And we used to look after all the homeless, providing meals and all of that. And I've got a bit of a heart for people who are struggling in life. Therefore, when I heard my son saying that he is better, or anyone is better than a homeless person, that got to me. I
Yeah,
haven't
that
done
would.
my job properly. I tell you that much. Obviously, it's not only me bringing him up, but that hurts. That hurts. No one is
Mm,
better than anyone else in this world. We all born the
no.
same.
We have different opportunities. We have different, we make different choices, but yeah, being better than anybody else.
Strong.
I mean, you might be better at something, but
Yes,
it
yes,
doesn't mean that you're better than that person.
that's correct.
You might, but again, that's just education. That's just education and learnings. It comes down to skill. Anybody can be better at something, but yeah, being better than somebody.
Big
So,
differences.
so how are you? I'm interested in how are you helping your son be a better man in today's world?
Right, that's a good question. So especially my oldest one, I have come to a realization that it is that we have been lacking as in parents. It's not only me, my ex-husband as well. We've been relying on the internet too much scrolling, too much computer gaming, therefore not enough family interaction, good family chats. I mean, he's nearly 16 now. He's not really interested in cooking dinner with me anymore. We used to do it quite regularly. He's not that keen on baking cakes or cookies anymore. Although he does occasionally do it himself. He doesn't follow recipes, so therefore it doesn't turn out properly. But hey, look, he has to learn it. But I've really made a point going forward, the same for my daughter and my youngest son, making a point and spending more family time together and talking it out. Because I found out that my oldest struggling with expressing or explaining what he means, explaining what he's done and all of that. It's just like, oh, it's okay, Mum, you know what I mean, and would just storm off, and then he would come back and I'm like, I don't understand what you said, and I do not want to assume.
That communication side, isn't it?
It's communication, and if he doesn't learn it now, he won't be able to communicate later either.
It's actually quite a common challenge that young men are having these days is communication. It's how they communicate, not just with themselves, but with other men, with women, with people that they don't agree. What do you wish men understood better about communication?
The proper communication takes time, Chris, because we are all very different, not only male and female, even between females. You might see that in work environment, that females don't always get along either. It's usually comes down to communication. What I perceive, what you perceive, two different things. We really do need to take time to communicate properly from the scratch sometimes. What I think is normal and obvious, the other person might not, because we come from all different backgrounds as well, especially here in New Zealand. But, thinking about where we come from culture-wise, mentality-wise. But, I mean, even in the same mentality, there could still be a lot of, someone might take it for granted what they know, and therefore everyone else is supposed to know. But you shouldn't be feeling ashamed about asking, hey, I actually don't quite understand what you mean now. I could think of 2 other ways how you could mean this. I assume that I know what you mean, but actually I'm not sure. And I think there's strength in it.
That's such good reminder to people out there that it's okay to not understand and to make sure that you ask, get clarity.
Yeah, I find myself used to assume a lot, and in the end of the day, what's the saying? You make an ass out of me.
You make an ass out of you and me. That's the one. Yeah, it's so true. That kind of leads me into, okay, I want to talk a little bit about your current finding and your current husband. And I know you went through a lot, you even mentioned it, you and your ex-husband, and then you had another relationship in between that husband and your current one. I'm sure there was other relationships. For you, how does a man build, earn trust and respect and in a relationship, or with you? Yeah.
Okay, that's a very, very good question too. And I'm jealous. I am jealous. I am insecure within myself. I'm quite aware of it. I am jealous when I see. So my husband is into surfing. Looking at all the surfing girls, they all got perfect bodies, in my opinion. I'm not perfect. I don't think I'm perfect. Nobody is really, but we're always critical about ourselves. Therefore, I am very jealous when he is watching his surfing videos where he goes surfing and then he tells me that there was another girl. But he has proven to me over and over and over again, without me even saying anything, that he is not looking. He's not looking at other girls. He's absolutely.
How's he proven that to you?
That's a really good question again. How has he proven that to me? When I see a girl, I look. He doesn't. I look. And I think like, wow, she looks beautiful. He doesn't look though. He looks at me. Yeah, or he would hold my hand, or and then even on then he would say, I only have eyes for you, friend. Don't worry about it. And yeah, just saying that out of me not even mentioning it. That really eases my insecurities. He's just recently been to Indonesia by himself for a surf trip. He was away for about 3.5 weeks. So 2 weeks Indonesia surf trip. There was little me, insecure me, thinking he'd be surfing all day, sitting at the beach, on the beach, watching all those beautiful, busty, skinny girls. It wasn't like that. It was a guy trip on a boat, and they went on, surf every now and then and would do their own things. But, in our head, sometimes it's a different movie playing. Just talking about it openly, I guess, is very important. And if you do have a person who looks at other girls in a certain way, it depends, I sometimes looking is be allowed to look, right? But it depends how they look as well.
Yeah, it's in my view, my thoughts on kind of what you're saying is you can appreciate other women, but you're not looking at them in a sexual way. You can appreciate them. My wife and I all the time, I'll appreciate a good-looking woman, but I'm not going to. It's also actions. It's that you can appreciate it, but it's then what you say and how you act, and that is as well is so important for that trust side of things, especially when it comes to the threat of cheating.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, there's certain things they're just not appropriate. We've got mutual friends, but I would not want, let's say, a couple of friends. I would not want a male. Let's put it the other way around. I would not want a female come to see him in our house while I'm not here, just for, that's my barrier or my boundaries. I think that's what you say. Yeah, my boundaries. I wouldn't want that to happen, and I think he wouldn't want it vice versa. It's just, inappropriate, I think.
What's your thoughts on, like, how do you, from the beginning, obviously, as relationships grow, that things build and you learn these things. What's your process or thoughts on how you, in a relationship or as a man and a woman, how you build that, how you communicate that in a constructive and good way instead of a demeaning, overbearing way? How do you communicate your needs and wants, especially in the early days? So that those things don't happen. For you, like you said, for boundary, you don't want a woman that you don't know or in the house with your husband on their and vice versa. How have you been able to communicate that without it sounding bitchy? Let's just not beat around the bush.
Yeah, it actually never came up. There was just recently this scenario where I was going to help this mutual friend of ours, and he's going to help me with my diploma. And Warren was away. Okay, my husband was away. And I was going to have our mutual friend here, and I'm like, actually, I wouldn't want it the other way around. So therefore, I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going right to their place where his wife is, and I'm going to have a conversation all together, which is way more appropriate. So just be open about it, without being bitchy. Exactly. I mean, sometimes I catch myself being bitchy as well. Not only, if you do feel insecure staying in the subject because someone is looking at someone, maybe you should really open up and address it. I feel insecure. Don't make it so much about them, make it about yourself. I feel insecure. I feel like you've looked at someone else in a certain way, which hurt me. Instead of saying you've looked and therefore you're cheating. Yeah, I don't know, but
you can't dismiss somebody's feelings.
No, I don't think
you can't dismiss somebody's feelings. If somebody says, I feel this way, you can ask them why, you can ask clarifying questions, but you can't actually dismiss the feeling because it's how they feel, and you can't say that they don't feel that way. You can ask why, you can ask what's caused it, you can ask what, where it comes from, but you can't say, no, you don't feel that way, or you shouldn't feel that way, because they obviously do. And so I'm curious, Fran. I want to jump. This is the question I've been waiting to ask. How'd you meet your current husband? How'd he sweep you off your feet?
Okay. I was Bumble.
Yeah.
So yeah, good old modern days app.
Like what was it about him that you were like, yep, cool, I'm gonna go on a date. I'm gonna go up and go on a date with him. Or I'm gonna meet with him.
He was quite a bit mysterious if I look back.
Mysterious man. That was the one for Fran. A mysterious man.
Yeah, a little bit mysterious. I couldn't get, some are very good communicators, communicators on those apps, and they would talk to you until midnight. And he wasn't. He's like, yeah, cool, okay, I just had dinner, and we would exchange a couple of messages, and then he's like, yeah, I'm going to bed now, good night. And it was like 9 p.m. at night. I'm like, what, you going to bed? Okay, then good night, that's fine. It was a bit new to me. And then and then maybe 2-3 days later, or maybe a week later, after we've been chatting regularly, he would ask, do you want to go out on a date? Do you want to go out for a dinner date? Which is also, once again, quite uncommon these days, mostly due to, I think, financial situations and so forth. Most people would just go for a quick coffee or something, or maybe a walk. There's nothing wrong about that, but I figured that was quite special that he insisted of taking me out for.
And he's the one that engaged that, didn't he? He's the one that asked you.
Yeah, he had. Yeah, he did. And then we went to that. So it was relatively good restaurant too, and we had a good conversation. A little bit awkward, I must say, from it's
It always is.
You just don't know that other person. You really want to get to know them, but where do you start? And he had a really interesting subject. He started talking about plants, how they talk underground to each other and all of that. They communicate as well. And I thought, oh my goodness, I never heard anything like that. But I found that interesting. But at the same time, I thought it was maybe a little bit extreme. So I wasn't sure. So by the end of the night, I wasn't sure where we are going to go, whether we're going ahead or not. And here he is. His full beauty. Yeah.
Hey, is we're talking about you.
G'day.
How's it going? Hey, look at this. We get two people for one. Hey, Warren, how's it going? We're talking about masculinity and and how Fran met you and how you swept her off her feet.
Telling first we went to that restaurant, and at the end of the night I wasn't even sure whether we are going to see each other again or not. And then but purely because I was a little bit sick of dating, I must say. I was a little bit over it. And then I talked to my good friend and about Warren, and she checked him out on the dating app, and she's like, yeah.
Did some slight stalking.
That's a story. Yeah. And then give him another chance. Therefore I did. And then
Awesome.
the second date was going up for a kayak, right?
Yeah,
going for a big trip.
Cool. Awesome.
And then the rest is probably history.
How'd you know the rest was? Did you know the rest was going to be history, or was it just kind of just happened?
Yeah, not sure. Try to be a little bit careful and backstandish, I guess. I didn't want to jump into anything too rush. Yeah, didn't want to rush into it too soon. But I had a good feeling about the whole thing from the second date.
There you go, and that's awesome. On that, the reason I asked clarity on whether he asked you to go out or not, because I know chivalry is one of those things that I don't know. It seems like maybe it's dying, or there's some out there that don't like it. There's some that love it. I'd love to know. Do you? What's a modern woman's view on chivalry? Do you think it's dead, misunderstood? What do you think it is?
Being like kind and gentle and opening a door for a woman.
Yes.
Opening a door, I would refer to it as being a gentleman myself as well. But yeah, there are women out there that are like, nah, I can open my own door. I can do. But again, it comes down to that, like chivalry is that kind of, it's a little bit is that kind of, asking, being the one that asks that first date kind of thing as well. What are your thoughts on chivalry?
No, I think it's a little bit too much opening the door. It depends. You go into a pub and you just go in and let the door close in front of your girl. No, it's all about that. But you go into that restaurant and you hold the door open. It's cool, but maybe don't go around out of your way to open the door for for that lady or woman, go around the car and open the door and all of that. It might be a little bit too much, especially for the first date.
Yeah. So if you're walking through the door, hold the door open, or if you're walking through the kind of into the restaurant, hold the door open, but don't force you to stay in the car until I open the car door.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Which would be a bit too much. And even overloading someone with a bunch of flowers. First date, a bunch of flowers.
Don't buy the $300 bouquet of flowers.
No, it's not necessarily. But you could pick a flower. If you really like someone, why don't you pick a flower? I think that would be quite sweet.
Yeah, I agree. I like that one. I know you've had your fair share of, we'll call them interesting men. You've had a couple interesting men, it sounds like. What makes you feel safe? What makes you feel safe to be, feminine around men? Because this day and age, there's so much, with the movement for, and I'm all for, women's rights and equality and having equal opportunities. But at the same time, we're seeing a trend of, around the world, there's a trend of anti-masculinity, but there's also a trend of men kind of stepping back up. And there's a massive thing, which my wife's gone through massively. And we see it a lot in female friends of ours and other people that I've spoken with or coached. There's a massive thing that over the years, women have actually become way more and lean more into their masculinity instead of actually relying on their femininity as strength. Mm-hmm. And so the reason I asked this question of, what makes you feel safe to be feminine around men is because a lot of the times from what I've seen as well is there's a lot of, and even my wife sees it also. And like I said, she went through a massive thing, corporate New Zealand, being around guys all the time. You feel like she just actually had an experience recently. She was telling me about, saw it in another woman. The woman tries to become one of the boys instead of being the woman within the boys, around all the guys in the group. And so you get those kind of things. And a lot of times the thing that comes out is that women don't feel safe that they can actually bring their femininity to the party as such. So I'm curious for you, Fan, what does make you feel safe so that you can, bring your femininity in and around men?
Probably my own security within myself. I'm also working in a male-dominated environment, and I don't feel I need to compromise my femininity.
Yeah, that's the one. It's hard to say. Has that always been the case?
Yeah, I think maybe not always. No, I'm not sure. Has it always been the case? Maybe not when I was younger. I think that would have been a little bit of a process for me to get there. Yeah, when I was younger, I probably would have been more boyish. Yeah, because simply in a male dominated environment, and there might be a couple of females there, they might get a bit jealous. Therefore, you've got to weigh that up a little bit. But now I can only talk about now. I'm quite happy and confident within myself. But once again, that also is a reflection of me being in a happy relationship. If I wasn't in a happy relationship, then maybe the boys would think I'm flirting as well. I'm not sure. Might be in my head, but it's not, we're all taken and we're all happy enough within ourselves. So therefore we can talk. It's in my head.
No, I think it's so true. It's so true. When you are in that happy relationship, there isn't any of that. You don't put out those mixed signals, we'll call them, on that side of things. Fran, what do you think is I wrote this question down and I wasn't quite sure if we're gonna get there, but I think we can talk about this one. What's a misconception women often have about men today, do you think?
Misconception about men.
That women often have about men today.
Misconception about men. Okay. I don't know whether it is a misconception. They're usually selfish.
Men are selfish. Why do you say that?
I'm thinking more in a particular area here, talking sexuality. Okay. And speaking out of experience, I would say not all, but maybe 50 to 60%, what I have experienced of males are relatively selfish in that subject, sexuality. And I think most females have made peace with that. and they're not consciously needing satisfaction as such. Therefore, even if they do raise it, some males might not want to talk about that subject. They think it's all fine. I've had that once before, that someone said, well, most women don't mind.
Red flag, red flag. Exit left, exit left.
I didn't.
You didn't? Oh, I'm sure it was a learning experience, that one.
Most females don't. There must be something wrong with me then.
Oh, that's so bad. We come down to, the three things, provide, protect, and preside, that I kind of believe that a man should in all things, apply to his life and to his relationship. If you're not sexually, there for your woman and making sure that she is sexually, is having fun as well. Let's just put it that way. You're not doing any of those because you're not providing her with what she needs. Yes, you want to get what you need, but you're not providing her with that side. You're not protecting her needs and wants. You're not protecting the sanctity of the relationship either. And you're not presiding over the whole situation of being that guy that can lead, that guy that can be there and learn. And guess what, guys? I'm going to put it out there right now. You tell me if I'm wrong here, friend. Guys, ask her what she wants and then listen. Because I guarantee you have no clue what she wants.
Yes, good point. But hey, I can at the same time only say, guilt, know what you want and make sure you can communicate it. Yeah. Because this guy who's asking you, he cannot read your mind.
No, and if he asks you, tell him. And this goes not just in the bedroom. This is like everything. I feel it's so important for everything. Guys don't ask, women don't tell. And so you get this vicious cycle of nothing, no communication, and then in turn you end up like your son, where he's like, "You should just know," and it's like, no, that's not how a relationship works. You don't just know. On that,
no, so good.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's so true. I remember early in my relationship, I've always been somebody who actually wants to make sure that their needs are met as well. And I remember early in my relationship, especially my current one, I started to ask those questions like, is this what you want? Like, what would you like? Am I doing this right? Turns out I had no freaking clue what I was doing whatsoever, even though I thought I did. And now I don't ask. Occasionally I'll still ask. I'll be like, hey, is that right? Is that, and she'll go, not a little, change it this way, do that. And it's perfect because you learn. But then also same thing. It goes the other way as well. Guys, if you want to try something, if you want to think about something, ask. Don't just do it. Ask. Can we try this out? And and that's how relationships grow. And then when you take it outside the bedroom, it's the same exact thing.
Yeah, it's a mirror.
You've got to ask for what you want. You've got to communicate. You've got to see what you want. I wanted to, friend, what do you wish that more men knew about women? What do you wish men knew more about women?
Okay, what I wish men would know more about women is we're sensitive and we don't show it. And we do like to be treated equally, not harshly, but equally. We've got feelings just like you. And we do feel frustrated just like you. And when we talk a lot, that is not to go on your nerves. It's because we've got a lot more words to get rid of a day.
There's women say about 20, I think it was like 21 to 25,000 words a day. Guys say about 10. Guys say about 10. 7 to 10, I think it is. A masculine guy will say 7 to 10,000 words a day. A feminine female will say upwards of 20, 25.
That is it all. Here we go. Yeah. So we don't do it because we want to annoy you. It's just in our genes.
Yeah. And that right there is dead true. And you're spot on there. When it comes to, when you say genes, it actually goes 2 million years ago. Back when we were hunter-gatherers, guys have been designed from the beginning to go out, be laser focused, find the animal, be quiet, stand next to their hunting partner, go out, be very focused, and spear an animal. And be very quiet while they do it so that they can sneak up on animals. Women, the feminine side, is actually designed to be more talkative, be more descriptive, has better peripheral vision because they're actually looking after the whole tribe, after the kids, after the other women, and also the guys. They actually are protectors. And I'll go into something real quick because I know you and I have a history of in the past around law enforcement interests and that. So women have the better peripheral vision. They're more descriptive because they had to be able to come find the berries, find the nuts and gather, and then also come back and be very descriptive on where exactly those are for the other women in case something happened to them. I had to be able to tell them where the poisonous ones were, where they weren't, where the threats are, all of that. So they'd come back and do that. Then they would also look after all the people as well. Whereas guys would go out, they'd hunt, they'd do that, they'd come back, they'd sit around the fire, they'd talk about the hunt, and that would be about it. And they'd all sit next to each other. That's why guys normally, when they're having conversations, don't sit face to face with each other. They'll sit next to each other.
Okay, that's interesting.
If you notice, watch your husband when he's with all the guys. They don't normally sit across the table from each other. They'll sit next to each other and talk to each other. There will be times where they'll be across from each other, but they'll sit there and they'll have conversations next to each other or around something. Why do you think, the old poker table, the poker nights, they'll sit around the table and there'll be something that they're focused on in the beginning. Fires. And so these are some of those things and then, it's come through.
Wow.
Yeah, from the law enforcement point of view, there's so many people. I don't know if you've ever heard the thing of guys always sit with they face the door, their back to the wall. In law enforcement, it's a massive thing that they do. And guys, they kind of pick it up and they go, oh yeah, I'm macho because I sit with my back against the wall and I face the door and make sure there's no threats coming through. I actually completely do the opposite and always have. I do the complete opposite. And I figured this out when I was sitting at a sports bar once, and I was sitting there and the TV was kind of in my peripheral, and I kept finding myself looking at it. And I was like, this is so similar to when I'm sitting and I'm facing the door. Anytime I'm facing the door, I'm not focused on my wife. I'm focused on the door. What's happening? Every time that door goes, I'm looking at it. My wife has a better, again, that peripheral. My wife has a better intuition and a better view of what's going on around me without even looking. What if I relied on that? And instead I focused solely on her instead of the door. So I started doing that, and she would pick up threats so much more than I would, and you can pick it up on her face. If you're focused solely on her sitting there, and also the seat with the back against the wall is normally the more comfortable one. So she's happier as well there because it's not the chair. Yeah. And so it becomes so true of, you're focused and you're present with her, you're actually more aware of what's going on. And so it's actually so much better. Again, it comes down to that masculine versus feminine side.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a good one to learn about a little bit. Yeah. There is Dr. Gray. He talks about.
He talks a lot about it as well.
Yeah, quite in a funny way, I thought, but yeah.
Yeah, I've heard the name and I've seen a couple of his things. I haven't watched much of that.
There's not that much, but a couple of TED talks.
Fran, because I'm conscious of your time. We've had such a great conversation, and it's awesome getting to know the inside of a little bit. Sliver of the inside of a woman's brain and thinking. And so thank you very much for being here. I want to know, before we kind of wrap up, what would you define as a motivated masculine man?
How do I define a motivated masculine man?
Yeah, what would you define as a motivated masculine man?
Put yourself out there. Be confident. Learn about yourself, about females and behavior, female, male behavior. Be confident in yourself once again. Yeah, you've got this.
Awesome. I love that. Guys, yeah, as she said, get out there, be confident. Fran, I know you are studying right now to do what is it?
Yeah.
That's the one you're coaching. I know you provided me with your email address, so I'll make sure that I put that down in the description below so people can email you if they want to learn more about that, but also so they can touch base with you if they want to ask you any questions or, just give you a, well done kind of side of things for coming on here. I appreciate you coming on here. Before I ask the final question that I always ask every guest, which I'm going to continue even for the women, any last words, any last comments, any last insights that you'd like to share, Fran? And again, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, I want to thank you for inviting me to your show. I really enjoyed talking about the subject. I actually learned something myself, so that's good. Always strive to learn something new every day. Just a tiny little bit every day, and you will become a better person. That's what I think.
Excellent. I totally agree. Learn one thing every day, and the transformation you'll have in 365 days is absolutely insane. The other good thing that I learned years and years ago was in any interaction, find one thing to take away. Because if you take one thing away from any interaction, the interaction's never a bad thing. Even if that one thing is, I don't want to talk to that person again. You learn something. Fran, thank you very much. So the last question I have for you is, if you could hand every man on the planet a single insight that would unlock his potential to lead, love, and live with purpose, what would you tell him?
It's a very big question. It's quite deep for me. Forgive yourself. First of all, whatever happened in the past happened in the past for a good reason. Even if you can't see the reason right now, it shaped you to who you are now. Move on. Live in the now. Try again. Be a better version of yourself and listen. That shall be it.
I love it, Fran. Thank you very much. Again, thanks for being here. And I wish you all the best as always. Thank you for being a cheerleader for me as well. I do see your posts and your comments, on Facebook when I post things, and it's amazing seeing your journey over the years from when we met, how many years ago, and talked about your aspirations for the future. And it's great to see where you're at now and see all that you've accomplished. Again, thank you very much. And I'm so glad that you're happily married again and in a good, healthy relationship.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love seeing you too.
Thank you. So for everybody that's watching and still here, please, if you could like, subscribe, but most importantly, share this with some other person. Was just one person that you feel would resonate with something Fran has said today, because that's the whole point of this podcast, is to get it out there, to help, to inspire those men to be better, to be the best version of themselves, and that's what we want. Please do that. If you want to reach out to us, whether you want to be on the show or whether you want to just a comment, good, bad, indifference, I want to hear it, or if you need assistance with anything, please email me at brotherhood@motivatedmasculinemen.com, and it's all down in the description. Until next time, my motto has always been and always will be: train hard, test easy. That's both mentally and physically. And you all have a great rest of your day, evening, and week.